Chairshot Reality, WrestleZone.com, episode 377. It's hard to believe we're still trucking along. Justin LeBar, Juice Springsteen. Juice, how are you? Welcome back, Mr. Battle of Los Angeles.
What a great weekend I had in Reseda, California. I met the greatest wrestling journalist of all time, not you. Dave Meltzer. It was a great time. Got a picture with Uncle Dave, and I watched him take notes. That's why I'm going to take notes during this show, and we'll see what we come up with
I've been telling you for 100 episodes to take notes, and it took you to sit 500 feet from Dave Meltzer.
The greatest mind of our wrestling business.
Surprised you're not a personal paper boy for the newsletter now.
No, I got my stopwatch. I got to count the segments. No. You're very jealous of Mr. Meltzer, it seemed, over the weekend. Every time I sent a picture, you were just like, oh, let me see more of his greatness.
You were like a 13-year-old going to Taylor Swift concert.
Or you going to a Kid Rock concert.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. All right, let's talk about Dolph Ziggler, who is making the headlines of wondering what's left for him. Obviously, he did the parody / mocking.
I thought that was pretty
on SmackDown Live. It was entertaining, and we're wondering if he's finally. We've wondered and had this conversation quite a bit, but it seems like this one might finally have the most. The most weight to it. That could be, October could be it for him. Do you think that he's leaving first of all?
Maybe I'll see him next year in PWG. Who knows what he's going to be doing after that? Yeah, exactly. You've said it many times, and I've agreed. His name on the Indies would be a big draw no matter what, and he can make more money doing his own wrestling T-shirts and everything. If this is the end, I don't know. I think it's been an average to maybe a little above average career for him, but he had so many things ahead of him that he's never achieved.
Yeah, I think that his career would
lost
be summed
potential.
Yeah, I think his career would be summed up as like there's always like another step that was never taken. Maybe not necessarily even by him, but maybe you can say WWE, or you can say injuries came into play at the wrong time. It just always felt like even when he had some
even when he won the world title,
even when he dabbled with the world title,
he
was never the guy who you were in conversation with saying realistically by WWE standards of. Okay, he's gonna be the last match at WrestleMania. Not to say that he couldn't perform to the caliber, but you knew the way they positioned him, you're like, okay, he's not the main event of WrestleMania.
And with all the high praise of his bumping, selling Mr. Perfect-esque stuff, and for him not to get the level of a Mr. Perfect or anybody in that high echelon, it's kind of sucks.
That might be the best way actually to summarize Ziggler's career, if in fact he's done here in the next couple of weeks at WWE for now, is always compared to somebody else.
Yep.
Never just being called Dolph
Which
Ziggler.
Is fitting how this
he's Shawn Michaels. He's Mr. Perfect. Right, which is very ironic.
That's funny. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's this is the way out. Everybody wanted me to be the Mr. Perfect and the Shawn Michaels when I just can't be that. I'm me, and this is how it's been.
If I'm, if he is in fact going to leave, then I would say make a thing out of it in terms of whatever match he has, whatever his last match is, whether it's SmackDown or
I thought the one with The Miz, was it last year?
Right.
I thought that was going to be his final match.
So do it again this time, where if he loses, he's out of here. And
For real.
And do it on the basis of, you're complaining, you're not happy, you're making fun of all these other wrestlers, all the other gimmicks. If you don't win, you're out of here, because it'll be one of two things. I mean, last year we all tuned in wondering, and when you tune in wondering, okay, I think this is it, and that's going to it'll add something to his match with whomever it is.
Or it'll end up being him just being the Colonel Sanders for the last time, and that'll be his last gig in WWE. One or two ways it'll just end terribly.
Terribly? Colonel Sanders, there's got to be some kind of a segue there. Let's go down to Florida. Josh Eisenberg, hopefully he's safe. Josh, Dolph Ziggler, what do you got for us?
Thanks, guys. Looking at Dolph Ziggler's career, him trying to reinvent himself on SmackDown Live this past week, it kept me slightly entertained, slightly amused, but I do think that this is a serious problem that WWE has, is when they give somebody so much so early on, they kind of fall to the wayside. You're not sure where their career is going to go, and that's exactly what happened with Dolph Ziggler. When Dolph Ziggler had his Money in the Bank briefcase, everybody wanted to see that cash in, and everyone wanted to see a long, successful run. Hell, his Raw moment, cashing in on Alberto Del Rio after WrestleMania, was one of my favorite moments of all time for any wrestler, because you saw the energy, the passion, the emotion that Dolph Ziggler had. This is a guy that was in a World Championship match at SummerSlam last year, and people still don't really care about that. Dolph Ziggler did so much against guys like Edge, really dominating SmackDown for such a long time before teaming up with Big E. You can't say that this guy's career has been a failure by any stretch of the imagination. A multiple-time United States champion, tag team champion. I mean, this guy's done pretty much everything you can ask for. If this is the end of Dolph Ziggler in WWE, he's going to be greatly missed, because whenever they needed somebody to step up, whether it's guys facing Shinsuke Nakamura, whether it's guys to compete for a world championship when they really didn't have anybody else, Dolph Ziggler did that. He answered the bell. So When you look at Ziggler's career, I don't think anybody's going to say it's a failure. They wanted to see maybe one really lengthy championship reign, which I think we might still get if he sticks around on WWE, but that's a big question mark right now. With Dolph Ziggler, though, when you look at his career, whenever you see him starting at the Spirit Squad and what all he has done after that, coming out, packaging himself, working with Vicky Guerrero, working with Edge, working with pretty much everybody on the entire roster, John Cena in TLC a couple of years ago. He's done everything possible to be remembered as maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe not a guy who's going to headline a Hall of Fame class, but somebody that's in the discussion of being potentially one of the best workers that WWE has had in the past 20 years. Coming up, I will tell you next who is the greatest NXT superstar of all time.